In this video, I'll be sitting down with Anayza, intuitive energy healer. We will be talking about how she overcame her depression through meditation practice. So the first part of the video, you can join us for the guided meditation practice. After that, we will continue our conversation about depression, anxiety, loneliness, sadness, dissociation, traumas, and also relationships. The one thing that stuck most with me from this conversation was something Anayza said. The relationship that we have with ourselves is something that will truly heal us. Let's begin.
Hey! So today we are going to do a short meditation practice and a short inner holding practice, just sharing how I support myself through emotional emotions, and that may help you too. Then we'll go into a conversation. However you want to sit is perfect. I would just say do your best to have a straight spine and to just feel comfortable and relaxed. Don't feel like you need to be in a certain posture. Just be as and where you are.
All right, so we're gonna start with meditation, and then we're gonna. You mentioned we're gonna move on to something else, breathing, or.
It's gonna be like a tuning in. I'm gonna call it for this exercise an inner holding exercise, and we're going to continue it right after the meditation. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you'll notice when we shift.
Let's begin.
And we're going to take one strong breath in, breathe in, and hold. Breathe out. We're going to do that 2 more times. Breathe in and hold. Breathe out. On the exhale, just feeling yourself relax. And 1 more time, breathe in. And exhale. Letting yourself relax into your natural breathing rhythms. Allowing your body to be exactly where it is at this moment. Feeling yourself sink deeper into your being. Allowing the present moment to orient your mind and emotions and sense of yourself into right here and right now. Feeling yourself continually slow down into the present moment. Allowing your thoughts, the awareness of your thoughts to come down into the body, through the neck and shoulders, arms, chest, torso, pelvis, legs, feet. Feeling the soles of your feet connected to the soul of the earth. And allowing all of you that is here to be here. And allowing all of you that isn't here to also be here. Just being present with what is and what is not. Feeling the sensations of your body. Feeling the presence of your being. Feeling the energy within your body and the energy that's holding your physical body. Connected to the soul of the earth and the soul of all that is. Allowing our awareness to come into the heart body. So as if you're feeling and viewing the energy of your being through your heart. Being with yourself through your heart body. Allowing yourself to relax into the heart of you. As we spend time here with our awareness in our heart body, welcoming all parts of ourselves, of our energy and our emotions, of our field, to be present here. And we're going to shift into our tuning in, our inner holding practice. So as we're here within the energy of our own being, we're just going to feel what's present for us right now. If there's a challenging emotion, a sadness, a confusion, a stagnation, a lostness. Just if there's any challenging emotion, or it could be a positive emotion as well. Whatever feels most present for us, we're just going to allow that to come center. And I'm going to invite you to let your body, let your physical body interact with this aspect of yourself, with this feeling. As if you're getting to know it through the sensations of your physical body and the images and memories of your mind, the taste on your tongue, the scent in your nose. Feeling how this part of you feels and allowing yourself to really be with it. And as you're being with it, allow your mind to be quiet and to listen. To deeply listen to this part of you. And if there's no feelings or no images or sounds, that's okay. Sometimes it takes time to unfold ourselves, even to our own self. Just keep being with this part of you, however it may be defined or undefined. Keep listening, keep letting it in, and letting it through. You can sense what it may want, if it wants to be held or go through or be listened to, or maybe it has some information for you. Allowing your sense of I to not know to just be with. If you want, you can pause the video right now and continue being with this part of you. But for now, if you feel complete, you can just express gratitude and know that this part of you is always here for you to listen to and be in relation with. And just express gratitude for this feeling and for your own capacity to feel it and to be with yourself. Really holding yourself and knowing yourself in this moment, in this way, however small, however large. This is you. So we're going to take a breath, inhale, exhale. We're going to come again into the heart body, just noticing our energy, noticing our field, cascading ourselves with light, and know that there is infinite information inside of us. There is infinite information in our emotions. And that for now we've received the insight that we've needed. So just feeling your physical body again, trusting that the edges of your field is being held with light. And you can gently move your hands, and you put it on your heart in your room, or just touch your legs, whatever feels good to you. Just holding your physical body for a moment, and through that, holding this part of your energy. And you can gently open your eyes and first look at your physical body. And when you're ready, you can raise your gaze and come forward. Thank you.
Your meditation practice, it was so nice. What I really loved was your tone of voice, because I'm very sensitive to different voices, and the last time I did guided meditation, I remember why I didn't like doing it was I didn't like the voice. I mean, the person is great, but the voice, I just couldn't. So, but I really enjoyed yours.
Thank you.
I feel so much calmer now.
Thank you.
Although I'm sweating, and I guess you're too. So whenever we're doing like this, it's the sweat. Yeah, but we are both here in Mexico, in Playa, sweating. So tell me more about yourself. Introduce yourself to our listeners. Where are you from? What do you do for a living? And why you do meditation as your practice to calm yourself down?
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me see if I have all those questions straight. So, my name is Anayza, and I work as an intuitive energy healer and facilitator. I support people to heal inside and also support others to deepen their capacity to connect with their own inner guidance and intuition. I feel that we all have the capacity to support ourselves and heal ourselves. We just have forgotten. And so that's really important to me, for others to remember how to know themselves deeply and how to access their own inner wisdom. And I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. That's where I was born. I haven't lived there in quite a long time. I've been traveling. How I found meditation was through depression. I was diagnosed with depression at the age of 13. And I was put into therapy and all of these different things. And my therapist said to me, oh, when you go to college, it will be better. And people kept saying, oh, when you do this, it will be better. And it changed, but it wasn't really better. I always felt that there was something more to life, that I could feel better in life. And I went to Europe for the first time. I studied abroad. And it was an amazing experience. And after I graduated from university, I went backpacking. I went woofing, which is volunteering on farms around Europe, and I was on this beautiful farm in the south of Spain. It was gorgeous. It was this beautiful villa overlooking this beautiful permaculture garden, and I realized I was still depressed. I was still sad. I was literally inside of my dream, and I was still sad, and I realized that I'm the common denominator. Like, all these other variables have changed, but it must be within me. And so I Googled, this is in 2013, or early 2014, and I just Googled something into like meditation. I didn't really know anything about that at that time. And I found this mantra meditation course that lasted for 108 days, and that was my entry into meditation. And I basically haven't stopped since then. And I've done a lot of different types of meditations and have now found the form that supports me. And it was something. I remember the first time I meditated was actually on this trip in Germany, and it was with my friend. And when we meditated, the first time I meditated, I started crying because I realized it was the first time I didn't have thoughts in my mind.
Wow.
And it was such a profound experience, and it just has always been the way for me, this capacity to still the mind and to access deeper and wider information can just shift and orient my energy in such a profound way, which is why I'm so dedicated to it, and it's so much a part of how I am and who I am and what I share with the world.
Wow, beautiful story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, how did you know that you're still depressed and not just sad?
Right. That's a great question. I guess, excuse me, at the time I knew that now, because I know what it's like to not be depressed. So I think I still felt like a fog was over my life, as if I was still seeing the world through this opaque lens. And I was looking at a beautiful world. That was the thing. I was looking at the world of my dreams, and yet I couldn't touch it. It's like I couldn't access it. And my general overall emotions were still down, and I was so affected. I still feel like even with all the beauty and the positivity, I still feel like there was more joy that was possible. Even though I had never experienced it until that time, I totally believed it was possible to feel better than I was feeling at that moment. And I guess I knew I was still depressed because the general malaise that I had been in for the past few years was just still there, even though I was surrounded by all of this beauty.
And you mentioned that you started crying when you didn't have thoughts in your mind. So what kind of thoughts were going through your mind then, usually?
Right. I mean, lots. But I think I laugh because, like, as travelers, we kind of know the general just anxiety of traveling, especially of being a nomad. And it's really beautiful to not have the routine of certain things of, like, a quote-unquote normal life. But it can be a lot of stress, especially if you're traveling for months and maybe even years at a time. Like, money, food, where do you sleep? Like, these basic survival things, even if you have a decision, you're constantly moving. And then also relationships. What am I going to do with my life? Like, work. I mean, it's just, especially at the age, I think I was 22. So especially at that age, I just really didn't know. I didn't know anything. I just knew I didn't want the life that other people told me I was supposed to have. That's all I knew. And growing up in New York City, I didn't see many other options. And so I was in a ton of anxiety, and it was just constant. And so the meditation, that moment of just being quiet for a moment, it broke. I mean, I could feel the emotion now because it's such a miracle to like free yourself from that loop of anxiety.
We as travelers, we have all those survival mechanisms like money and food and where to sleep next. And it's totally okay to worry about these things because this is like general anxiety. We all worry about these things. But then on top of that, it goes bigger because you have to worry about your surviving, and then you have to worry about where I'm gonna be and who am I gonna become and how am I gonna succeed and all those things. And for some people it can be just too overwhelming. And not everyone is meant to be traveling for long term, or not many people are meant to be digital nomads. And that's perfectly fine too.
Absolutely. I was living on the coast of Oaxaca in Mazunte, in Puerto Escondido, in San Agustinito. I was living in San Agustinito and Puerto Escondido.
Were you going through challenges last year as well?
A lot, yes.
Okay, so tell me more about it, because I don't know about your challenges from last year.
Right. So I don't usually drink alcohol. I don't really drink. But you know, in Mexico, every once in a while, and I went out with friends, and I had a shot of tequila, which is from back in the day when I used to drink. That was like my favorite, and I had like 2 shots of tequila. I woke up the next morning and I cried, and I literally didn't stop crying for a month. Like I literally cried every day for 1 month. I'm not even exaggerating. There was just so nothing happened. Like nothing happened externally. It was just my own self shifting, and just I felt like I was being confronted with so many ideologies and ideas of myself and who I wanted to be. Like that was just so deep. A lot of it had to do with my romantic relationships, how I connect with men, how I connect with others in general. And it just felt as if the Oaxacan coast, the ocean there, was just moving me and inviting me to deeply surrender, to deeply meet a deeper part of myself. And I Googled like about tequila, and it's from an agave plant. It's from a cactus, and if you know other plant medicines, there's other plant medicines that are from cactuses, and I really felt as if I got initiated on like a plant medicine journey, an emotional journey. So it was really challenging just to feel so many emotions all the time, and to also not have an external reason. It just kept coming, and then it was every reason, like anything in my life that felt out of alignment was calling to be felt and seen and recognized and released. And also I was just like smack dab in the middle of my Saturn return. I don't know if you know about Saturn returns or astrology, but I was just really shifting. My core sense of self has been breaking and continually has been breaking and breaking through and open.
Did you allow yourself to be sad when you were crying, or were you trying to find ways to stop it?
Both, because as an intuitive energy healer, I know feel your feelings. It's all about deeply feeling your feelings all the way through. But after a weekend, you're like you feel like you should be over it, right? I mean, sometimes our soul spirit has other ideas, and so I did feel, especially at that time, frustrated with myself for not feeling better. And then that just adds insult to injury. You already don't feel well, and then you're mad at yourself for not feeling well, and that wasn't helpful. And I knew logically, because I know these things, it's not helpful, but it was still hard for me to embody what I know. And I think that's something that many of us can experience. But the beauty of my life is that my life is the practice of embodying that which I know, and I was able to continually surrender and surrender and surrender. And there was this one night, it was like this one experience in particular. I had a conversation with someone that was really helpful, and afterwards I went into this like trance experience where I was in a really deep meditation, and I sort of journeyed into myself through my worst fears, and And I kept saying to myself, what if? What if that happened? What if that happened? And after every what if, I'm still here. I mean, even if I was to die, like literally I was to leave my physical body, my feeling is like, nothing ever dies. Energy renews itself. And also, I mean, people, it's not that, it's okay. I mean, it's a part of life. So to fear this thing that's inevitable isn't something to fear, and to me. And worse than death might be social isolation or being rejected or being alone. These levels of social, like being exercised from our tribe, can sometimes feel worse than death, And I think so many of us do all these, we contort ourselves into belonging, because that social death can feel so painful. But as I went into like the what ifs, I just felt my fluency in the language of surrender, like developing, and something really shifted inside of me. And that was what I was resisting, was that deep letting go. It was really profound, and it really shifted me. And then like literally the next day I bought a ticket out of Mexico. It was like I was released. Mexico released me. I bought a ticket to visit my family in the States, which I hadn't been home in over 2 years, and my life kept flowing.
What's your biggest fear?
Loneliness. I feel like so much of my life I felt lonely, and so much of my life I've been trying to figure out how to find belonging. But I don't even think it would be that word. I think it would be actually, I've been trying to figure out how to not be lonely anymore.
But can you stop feeling lonely by not feeling lonely? Don't you have to focus on something that you can define positively? Like, in order to not feel lonely, I want to, feel that or be that. Because when you define, in order to not feel lonely, I'm just not going to be lonely, it's just like dead circle.
Yeah, but so is externalizing our belonging anywhere outside of ourselves. Unfortunately, like I think it will be great, and I think we've seen through the fallacy, if it's partnership or things or money or a place. I mean, I think I've lived in, I know in maybe some ways, maybe you have too, that when we think we're like, oh, I found it, I've grasped it, it floats away from us, because the deeper union is within us. And for me, I would use the term God or source, or, just something beyond the physical. There's a union of the metaphysical within us that I feel is a true response to loneliness, and it's a true response to feeling separate. Because I think within loneliness is this feeling to no longer feel separate from others, feel separate from life, feel separate from any part of myself. And any time I'm experiencing loneliness, I'm experiencing a form of separation from my own self.
I so agree with you, because when you feel this inner happiness, or you are genuinely happy and connected with yourself, then it doesn't really matter who you are surrounded by, that you don't have to seek validation from other people, or you don't have to prove your worthiness or anything. You just know that you're okay with whomever is surrounding you, right?
Exactly. And I feel like that's the practice of developing that capacity. And, if I say the fluency in the language of surrender, or deepening our inner connection, the more that deepens, the less other people's actions can impact us. And it doesn't mean we're not impacted, it doesn't mean we don't care. It just means that there's a sense of self that withstands the movements of the world. And I feel like we all have the capacity to deepen that depth and steadiness within ourselves, and that's peace, because life will move. I've been thinking a lot of the example of Buddha at the Bodhi tree, and then all of these temptations came to him, and as these temptations came, he remained centered at the Bodhi tree. And I've been thinking life is the Bodhi tree. It's not necessarily, I've spent many years and many times like walking in the mountains and staying at monasteries and meditating. That's been a part of my journey. But life happens here. Life happens every day. Life happens in all these interactions, and that's the Bodhi tree. It's like, can we remain steady and centered and within ourselves, while everything moves around us in respect of ourselves and in respect of others. And know that, sometimes our actions, like from a state that we feel is of inner harmony and peace and connection, may be perceived as unpleasant or not kind or X, Y, and Z. And it's like being able to withstand the reflection of other people's reactions, their projections, their anything, because there's so much happening. We're moving through lens of our own identity, moving through lens of other people's identities and their traumas and their challenges. And it's a lot, it is a lot. But that's the practice of cultivating peace and cultivating our capacity to like let go and let in and be with what is, like be with what is present and love ourselves through it.
Have you found your inner self, your true self inside you?
I feel so, and I also feel it's constantly shifting. So I feel like I am in relationship with that which is always moving inside of me, and in relationship with that which is eternal. And it doesn't mean that I don't still feel super sad, or as have challenging experiences, or like things happen, but I feel like I have a really good relationship with how it's happening for me and with me and not to me. Because as long as we have like wounds or things inside us we're not seeing, which I do, and I think which many of us do, we're going to have challenging experiences, and they are opportunities for our own liberation. I like really believe that, and I really have the capacity to relate with the challenges of my life through that lens. Even though it's super hard, even though I can like feel flooded with anxiety, I like have the practices to ground again in the moment and do my best to respond from that deeper equanimity.
Yeah, exactly. Life happens for you, not to you. Correct. So you have found your inner connection. Your biggest fear is then losing that connection while it's constantly shifting. Did I get it right?
I don't know, like if I fear. Actually, I don't feel that. When you ask your biggest fear is, and I said loneliness, I think that's because when my shadow comes up, it's from there. It's not like I'm cognitively afraid of being alone. It's more like I can see through my actions and I can see through my relationship with others. I'm like, oh, I'm afraid of being alone. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I can see. That's why I'm interacting. Or maybe I didn't notice something. It was because I wanted to remain in connection, And so I don't feel that I'll lose my connection. I don't fear that at all, actually. I just know that there are parts of me that aren't in unity and that do still feel separate and that do have blind spots and that are still acting from a fear of loneliness and a fear of being alone and a fear of being too strange and different and misunderstood.
Right now, you're not feeling lonely, or are you?
That's a good question. No, I feel like, I don't know when you'll post this, but we're off this like eclipse. Did you see the eclipse last night?
Oh, yeah, I did.
It was incredible.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was incredible. We're so lucky to be here in Playa where we could see it so clearly. I really feel like I didn't know what I was in for this, like with all the energies of the astrology right now. But I feel like I went through a lot these last few days and I feel in deeper connection with myself. So right now, I don't feel lonely. I do feel like there's a lot of things I need to do for my life, like in terms of, I feel engaged. I can say that. I feel engaged and active and excited, When you have a big call, when your soul says something, when your soul dreams you largely into life, it's cool and there's a lot to do. So that's what I'm feeling. I'm like, wow, I have a lot to do in terms of like activating my dreams and getting out there.
What's calling you right now? What's your biggest dream right now?
My work, like the sharing with people. Like I just had someone found me on YouTube actually. I just had this really beautiful session with someone and it's really amazing. It's really amazing the capacity I have to understand emotions and inner energy and being able to share that with others and allow them to like connect the dots of their own inner environment and their own inner experience. Like in the session this morning, someone came and she was talking about being post-grad of her graduate program and not being sure what to do and feeling a bit lost. And through the process, we could see how what she's experiencing now is very similar to something she experienced when she was a child, and how that there were similarities, like very specific similarities happening. And she could not only see that, but feel that. And she started crying, and it was like so moving and so supportive. And it really matters. Like, it really matters how we feel inside. And I really want to not only share this healing with others, I want others to remember the capacity to give this healing to themselves, because we all can. It just takes practice and it takes remembrance. Every relationship takes tending, including our relationship with ourselves. So I'm just so passionate about that, and I'm so excited to share that in all the different ways I'm sharing it, like my course, my one-on-one work. I'm hosting a retreat this summer. Like, I'm doing a lot, and that's where my energy is engaged.
How do you know who you are when the only thing you know about yourself is the traumas? Let's say this person has been through trauma 10 more years ever since they remember themselves. Mm-hmm. And they either travel around the world and they don't trust anyone because mm-hmm. they assume that everyone is bad, or they go around the world and they easily trust everyone because in their mind they think that only these people are bad who abuse them, but everyone else is good, which makes them very naive. Then how would you help them? How do these people find their inner self when there just is none?
I've worked with people who have been tortured, like who have been through some really intense things. Like, I've worked with people who have experiences that some people don't even believe that has happened to them because it's so horrific. And they find the reason for themselves inside of the experience. And for many people, it's to help other people who have been through that and to shed light on these experiences. And that's really beautiful. But for me, I feel another reason can just be to be. Like, your being is the reason, is the result. For each of us, there is a glimmer of possibility and hope and beauty that lives within us. And I feel that to be true because I guess of the things I've seen and then the people I've met who have been through such deep atrocities, and they are still healing and still going through it, but they found the glimmer of hope, that spark that can never be extinguished. And we all can find that spark again.
So when there is someone who defines them through their abuse or trauma, what's the first thing they should do? Is it to start to learn how to meditate? Is it to find a therapist? What would you say, where should this person start?
That's a great question. I think the very first thing someone should do is to ask yourself what you need in the moment. Just ask yourself what you need in that very moment. Maybe it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and you need to sleep. Go to sleep. Maybe you need ice cream. Go get ice cream. Maybe you need to hug yourself. I would say in that very moment, for a few moments, just ask yourself what you need, because usually when someone has been through abuse or trauma, their needs have been separated from them. And they're no longer in ownership, authority, sovereignty. They're no longer in themselves. In so many ways, they're disassociated from themselves, and they don't feel safe with themselves. And so while I feel like healing and working with someone is so important, it's also really important to not give your power to someone else and to then think someone else is going to fix you. Because honestly, with all the tools and all the beauty that I know many people have, no one can fix anyone. All we can do is support each other in this healing. And really, it's our relationship with ourselves that will truly heal us.
Disassociation is something that I've heard, that when a person is going through trauma and in order to save themselves, they just disassociate. And I think brain is such a smart organ that whenever trauma happens, this is where we lose our memory. Like, we don't necessarily remember the traumatic events. Our brain starts blocking us from ourselves just to save us.
Right.
Or we just dissociate, and it carries on through life. And this is why so many people don't know what they want. And maybe they go around to other people and try to fix them so that they could avoid fixing themselves. So it's always easier to fix someone else.
Yeah, it's also the savior complex, like wanting to save others because you feel like you can't save yourself, And I think, many of us have that. But the disassociation is massive. I mean, I think there's so many ways that we've been harmed or hurt, and it could be subtle. That's why I tell people abuse and trauma is not extreme. Trauma can happen in subtleties because it's really about our being and the frequency of our being not knowing how to be held in a moment. So there could have been a moment when you were a child and you reached out to your mom or dad and they didn't see you and they turned away and you disassociated, and there's a trauma there. And they may not have even seen you. I mean, many times it happened and your parents did see you and they didn't want to, but they could not have even seen you. But the aftershock of that, the ripples of that, can have such an effect on our attachment style and on our avoidance style and how much love we believe we're worthy of. It's these subtle moments, and we all have. Too many of us have extreme moments, of assault, molestation, or something terrible happening. But I would say almost all of us have these subtle moments. And I think many of us feel like we're not worthy of the depth of pain we feel because of the subtlety of our trauma. But it doesn't work that way because we have memory inside of us that are from our parents and from other lives. And so even though that parent not giving you their hand could have been a small moment, it could have triggered a somatic memory inside of your being of another lifetime or your ancestor or something that happened to your parents, and suddenly you have this big experience inside of you and you're like, wow, that was such a small thing. But it's not small because it's a part of something bigger, and because we matter, like we're made of all of these small interactions, and it matters to us, and we matter. And so, to your point, disassociation happens often because of these things, because we don't know how to handle it. Right, that's what I was going to continue to say. Because we don't know how to respond to the depth of the pain that we're feeling as children. And most likely our parents understand how to respond to the depth of the pain they're feeling inside of them. And so that's what they call intergenerational trauma. It just keeps happening. And it is, as you said, a coping mechanism. It's a survival mechanism so that we can keep breathing and living and surviving physically, but emotionally, energetically, aurically, we're not fully there. And then we have a hard time reaching our dreams, reaching our patterns. We are in relationships that don't serve us. And it's because of these small patterns, it's because of these woundings that are still living within us.
Because we don't believe that we're worthy, and we try to disassociate ourselves, right?
Yes, but also it's not conscious. It's these disassociations, what happened when in that example of a child's hand not being seen, not being met, and that belief that was formed that I'm not worthy of being loved. That's not conscious, but yes, it's there. And so we disassociate, right? So then we attract partners who can't love us because we learned in small moments in our childhood that we're not worthy of receiving love, and that when we extend love, someone's going to pull away. And so since we believe that, we are going to find partnerships that reinforce that belief system. So we're going to reach out to people, and people are going to be emotionally unavailable because we believe that's what we're worthy of. And a part of us is not present to our full worth. And so the part of us that went away, that's I can't handle the pain of this belief system, it's how can we take that inner child, take that inner part of us and be you're worthy of love. You're worthy of having your hand held. You're worthy of when you extend yourself, someone reaches back towards you. And it's reparenting, re-loving, reconnecting. It's, there's so many it's reforming, it's repatterning our subconscious belief systems with ourselves, so that when we again meet someone who we extend our hand and they don't extend our hand, we're like, oh no, that's not what love means, and that experience I'm in isn't for me, and I'm okay, because I'm holding my own hand, and I'm going to meet someone who can hold my hand too, because now because that deeper belief system has been reformatted and repatterned, so we're able to recognize when the old frequencies are present, reorient and be like, oh no, I'm worthy of more, I'm in the worth of more.
Have you repatterned yourself? Are you holding your own hand? Are you looking for healthy relationships?
I'm definitely open for healthy relationships, and I'm working on it. I've healed. So a big part of like the challenges I had in Mexico last year had to do with this exactly. So many things I didn't realize from my high school and childhood, particularly around men, were so active inside of me, and I didn't realize I had so many activations in these relationships. And so I feel I've healed so many parts of myself, but there are still more parts of myself that need to be even more deeply held and even more deeply loved, because I'm still in situations where people are emotionally unavailable to meet me at the depth I deserve to be met. And that means there's ways I'm not meeting myself at a depth I'm worthy of being met. And I'm aware of that, and I am working through it, and I'm holding myself and loving myself, and also recalling my energy. And that's why I say Mexico holds me so hard, because she illuminates to me the places where I'm not fully in union with my own being, or else I wouldn't be attracting these situations. I wouldn't be seeing these parts of myself. I'm seeing these parts of myself because they're asking to be released and to be loved. And so that's the opportunity I'm seeing right now.
Definitely. You are in the process of repatterning yourself. How are you doing that?
I guess it's through what I just described, It's like it's
just acknowledging the situations and
the patterns. And then so I was walking here and I was thinking of all the interactions I've had with men here, and I was like, wow, there's a pattern. It's not a great pattern.
Tell me about the pattern.
Oh, you want to hear about my personal pattern with men I've been experiencing? Playa del Carmen, May 2022. Okay.
Give me the juicy details.
Oh gosh, emotional unavailability. But I would say emotional unavailability. So what I'm experiencing with men is like, I guess showing up and then being ghosted. I guess that's it. I guess that's one way of describing it. That's not really it. How do I describe it? Emotional unavailability, but then also I would say showing interest and then disappearing.
Which is also emotional unavailability,
It is emotional
right?
unavailability.
But do you really think that it is because of you? Isn't it because I think like everyone, 100% of people have been through trauma. As you said, it could be this one moment where your parent didn't hold your hand, or this one moment when your parent didn't notice you. This is trauma, which means that 100% of people on this earth have been through trauma.
Right.
But there are people who are dealing with it or have dealt with it and are acknowledging it and know what it means. And there are people who have no idea what the term trauma even means, and they are being emotionally unavailable. And I think the second group is actually, we have more people like that, because not many people know about trauma, or if they do, they barely work with the trauma. So what do you think? Is it really you, or is it just Playa is full of confused people?
Of course it's both, but there are also not confused men here. I trust there are. And I know there are, but I'm attracting and interacting with the ones who are emotionally unavailable. Why? Why am I attracting these men? Because I'm sure that there are men who are stable and kind and available and
and they're also married.
Like that too. But being the eternal optimist, I guess I have to be, because what else? I'm still living, gotta be optimistic about it. I feel like there's a reason. That's not all my fault. it's not my fault at all, actually. And like, I'm great. I really feel so. I'm very communicative. I'm not perfect, but I really own my part of things. I'm honest. I'm as honest as I can be. You know, I feel like I'm great, but I'm giving energy and attention to people who do not have the capacity to meet me where I am. And there's some part of me that feels that I'm not worthy. Some part of me believes that no one can meet me where I am, or that I'm not worthy of it, or that they don't really want to, that people don't, that's too much, that I'm too much. You know, there's all these subtle stories that I'm still holding in my system. Mexico's like, we love you so much, we're going to show you them through these interactions. And it's like I get to double down, triple down, infinite down on the love with myself, and to see these areas of myself and not live through them, and like, you know, interact with them, because I find that we will relate to each other through our wounds. It just happens. Even if we don't mean to, even if we don't want to, we're going to relate with others through our shadow and through our wounds, because they're crying out, and they come out in relationship, you know. And so it's not about being perfect. It's not about me being perfect. It's about me knowing I'm worthy of meeting someone who can hold all of me, my dark and my light, my big and my small, my cosmic and my earthly. You know, I'm truly deeply worthy of that. Like, that's the opportunity I'm seeing here. And I'm also seeing the places I've maybe hidden part of myself, or like contorted myself so that I can be in connection with a man. And that's no longer allowed, or gonna work anyway, because they're not available. Then I'm not being fully available. You know, if I'm hiding a part of myself so that I'm in relation with someone, I'm not fully available for that connection. Do you know what I mean? So it's not about saying it's anyone's fault. For me, it's all about recognizing how am I participating in this relationship, because it takes two, and I'm the only one that can free myself from these dynamics. And I choose to. You know, every moment I choose to.
You are completely right. But now tell me, do you have a mental health hygiene? With my last guest, we were talking about that. Do you have something like that? I know that you take care of your physical body too, through physical training, but you mostly focus on breathing and meditation. Is this your mental health hygiene, or do you have something else as well?
Knowing yourself. I think all of this always falls down into knowing yourself, because I feel there's so much, follow my 6 a.m. routine to be a millionaire, or to like be the happiest, you know, all these people, and it's no one's routine is for you. You know, everyone has a little bit of something, but when we know ourselves, that's the question, like, what do I need right now? It's like getting to know ourselves, getting in conversation with ourselves, getting in relationship with ourselves, and then we know how to respond to our needs in every moment. And maybe it's meditating, or maybe it's sleeping more. I mean, sometimes I go through phases where I need to sleep till noon. And people wouldn't think that about me. People would think I wake up at 5 and meditate all the time. Sometimes I sleep because I need to, you know, and I'm not going to like wake up at 5 a.m. And then sometimes I wake up at 7, and I allow myself to go through these phases, because I just know that I'm always changing, and what I need changes.
Yeah, that topic, me and my friend were just talking about it, that so many people are talking about waking up early. Instead of waking up 6, wake up at 4, which means that you get 2 extra hours a day, which is 14 extra hours a week, times 4, times 52 a year, just outwork everyone.
Equals $1 million.
Yeah, or even more. But then also what I'm hearing from them, and what I'm hearing from you, when I put one and one together, what I hear is disassociation. That you start waking up early, you start rejecting yourself, your inner needs. Then when your cup is empty, who are you gonna help? When you are constantly rejecting your primary needs, and sleep is definitely one of those. Let's say you are just not meant to be waking up at 4 a.m. Some people, they just work better at night, let's say they have this inspirational moment at 6 p.m. and they enjoy working until 2, 3 a.m. and then just wake up at noon again. Who says that it's wrong? As long as you're taking care of yourself, you can take care of your business, your employees, or whichever job you're working on, right?
I agree. I so agree. I love how you said rejecting yourself, because that's what happens. We begin taking in society's and other people's ideas of who we should be, and we reject ourselves. And there's no liberation there. I mean, there's no freeing. There's no truly being alive there, you know? And all of these tools and things that we hope to heal us and to free us from our anxiety and our mentality and our depression, it just leads to like a numb state, which is something I experienced when I first started doing all the spiritual work in 2015. I was meditating, I was doing hot yoga, I was doing all the things. Now, I was numb. I wasn't depressed, but I was numb because I didn't know how to listen to myself. I think so many people do all these practices and do all these things and yet reject who they are, who they truly are. And maybe you should eat meat, or maybe you shouldn't eat meat. Maybe, I mean, any of the number of things. Maybe yoga's for you. Maybe yoga's not for you. I personally like HIIT workouts. I mean, I do yoga moves too, but I also I like high intensity. I like HIIT. I like CrossFit, you know? And I like to do some yoga movements with it. I like intuitive. I don't like following other people's workouts. I like intuitive moving my body, you know? It's getting to know ourselves. It's really getting to know ourselves. And I feel like through the schooling system, through so many systems, we've been systematically asked to not know ourselves, but to know the rules. And that's the whole thing we're repatterning and remembering, is how to learn ourselves. Not learn another set of rules or things we should do, but how to actually learn ourselves.
Learn about yourself and you'll learn about the world, right?
Exactly.
Is there anything else we would like to talk about?
No, I feel so complete. What a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for your questions. I really appreciate it. This is great.
Where can people find you?
You can find you can find me. You can find me on Instagram at AnayzaLove. You can find me on Facebook at Anayza. You can find me on YouTube at Anayza. And you can find me on my website at www.anayza.com. So just look up Anayza and you'll find me.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.